If you know JavaScript, you can build full-stack applications with users, login systems, and databases. All you need is Node.js. It lets you run JavaScript code on the server, which means you can build both the front end and the back end of your website with the same language you already know. In the next 10 minutes, I will show you exactly how it works, and we'll build a real backend server from scratch. Let's go. What is Node.js? Node.js is not a programming language. It is a server-side runtime environment. A long time ago, JavaScript only ran in the browser to handle things like a simple button click. And if you wanted to build a backend system, you needed another programming language, like PHP or Java. But when Node.js came out, JavaScript developers could finally code stuff on the backend side, like creating a user, storing data in a database, or communicating with other APIs to send information back to the front end. So in short, Node.js lets you take your front-end JavaScript skills and use them to build real server-side applications, essentially making you a full-stack developer with just one programming language. Now, if you have heard of Node.js, you might also have heard of NPM. NPM stands for Node Package Manager, and you can think of it like a toolbox with thousands of open-source libraries. But why do we need it? Most things that you need to code have probably already been coded by someone else. For example, if you need to encrypt a password so that it is hashed and stored safely in your database, then you don't need to reinvent the wheel and spend hours thinking about encryption algorithms. Just use an NPM package called bcrypt and call a single function to encrypt the password. That is one of 1,000 examples where we use NPM to make our lives easier. Being a Node.js developer often means learning how to use packages from other developers so that your own code works perfectly. And here's the thing. Most of the popular JavaScript frameworks and libraries, like React, Express, or Next.js, are all built on top of Node.js and distributed via NPM. So if you're planning on learning any of these, you need to get familiar with NPM and Node.js first. But how does it actually work? You can install Node.js from their official website, and then use these commands in your terminal to check what version of NPM and Node.js you have, and therefore if you have installed everything successfully. Now, to create your first Node program, create a new folder anywhere on your computer, and open it with your code editor. Inside, create a new file named index.js. Here we can write normal JavaScript code, for example a simple console log. Now, how do we run this code? When working with Node.js, you will be using the terminal a lot. For that, go to Terminal, New Terminal, so that you have it right here in Visual Studio Code. Inside, you should see the file path pointing to your current project folder. And here, you would run node and then the name of your file, index.js. Hit Enter to run the code. And as we can see, Hello World is now printed to the console. So inside your index.js, you can write normal JavaScript code as you already know it, and then run the code using the node command. But what can we actually do with Node.js? Since we're not working in the browser, we do not have access to the global window object or the document object model. Instead, in Node, the global object is called global. It contains many useful tools and properties that let us interact with the system itself, not a web page. One very important property here is process. It gives us information about the program that is currently running. But the most powerful built-in feature is the require function. This is how we import modules, and it's one of the main reasons Node is so flexible. For example, we can import the FS module, which stands for file system. It allows us to work with files directly from our code. We store it into a variable called fs. Now we can write text into a file using fs.writeFileSync. Just pass the name of the file and the text you want to write. If the file doesn't exist, Node will automatically create it. So when I run this code, we get a new file in our folder containing the text I just wrote. Now this is already pretty cool. Node can run scripts right on your computer to handle files, automate tasks, or process data. But where Node really shines is on the server. In fact, most of the time we use Node to create web servers, to build web or mobile applications that connect to databases, allowing users to log in securely and access their personal data. But more on that later. Let's create a first web server together. But before we do this, let's quickly understand what a web server actually is. In simple words, a web server basically acts as a bridge between front-end and back-end. It is like a program that listens for requests coming from the internet. This communication usually happens over the HTTP protocol. So your browser sends a request to the server, and the server responds with the right files, data, or messages. For example, JSON, HTML, or simple text. Now, let's create a web server together. We start by importing the HTTP module. First create a variable and use the require method to import it. Then we can initialize the server by calling http.createServer. You can start the server using server.listen and use the port 3000. If you run the code in the terminal, you will see that unlike previous programs, this one doesn't immediately exit back to your normal terminal prompt. Instead, it will run until we stop it manually. That means the server is currently running. And this is exactly what we want, because our program needs to stay running to respond to requests. To stop the server, you can use Ctrl-C in the terminal. Now let's respond to requests, because we want to actually do something on the server. The createServer method accepts a callback function. That callback function runs every time a request comes in, and it receives two arguments, request and response. The request object represents whatever we get from the client. This could contain something like form data, email and password. The response object is whatever we will send back to the client from the server. So these two objects are the fundamental pieces we need so that the frontend and the backend can communicate with each other. And to keep it basic, let's write a simple response. Response.write hello world. And we also end the response with response.end. Now, if we run this program, we will send hello world to the client. But where actually is our client? You will not see this message in the terminal, as we haven't logged anything here. We're sending hello world to any client that connects to this server. So if we use a browser to access the local host that is running on port 3000, which is the port we used on server.listen, then we'll see this message, hello world. Now we have successfully set up a server that can communicate with a client. But since this is a rather simple example, let me show you a more complex example of how this would look like in a real application. Don't worry, if you're a beginner, you don't have to understand the code. I'm showing you this so that you know what to expect. Let's say you want to log in a user. How would that work? On the front end, you would have a form where the user can enter email and password. Once the user hits the button, you would make a request from your front end. Now, if you're using React.js in your front end, you would use a package called Axios and then send everything the user entered to the backend. The server would receive that request and have access to all the text that was entered. Then you would connect to your database and write some logic to check if the user actually exists and if the password that was entered is correct. If so, you can return the user data to the front end. Now, when the front end receives that user data, it can now use that data to display anything we want. The user is now successfully logged in. Now, of course, you don't need to understand all of this, but in this simplified login example, you can already see how many different libraries and frameworks come together. On the front end, we use React to build the interface, while on the back end, Express.js was used to handle routes and requests. And behind the scenes, there are even more tools working quietly. The code examples and packages you've seen in this video are typical for a full-stack application from a MERN stack developer. MERN stands for MongoDB, Express, React, and Node, which is the most common combination of technologies you would learn if you're starting out with full-stack web development. But of course, it doesn't end there. There are countless of JavaScript frameworks and libraries you could learn, and they all have their benefits. And for me personally, this was exactly the point in my learning journey where everything became chaotic. There are a million things to learn and not enough time to master them all. So to help you guys out with that, we will be publishing full-stack topics in the future, additional to our current CSS videos. But before we dive into frameworks and libraries, you need to make sure that you have a solid understanding of JavaScript first. If you haven't mastered JavaScript yet, I would not recommend learning any frameworks just now. And if you need help with JavaScript, you can always get my full JavaScript course on Udemy. We start with the absolute fundamentals and teach everything you need to know before diving into frameworks. Use the first link in the video description to get the course. My name is Fabian and this was Coding to Go. I will see you in the next video.